You're listening to episode 18 of the Fed and Fearless podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to love your body while changing it. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm a registered dietitian and coach trained in functional medicine with a passion for helping women just like you ditch perfectionism and use food, fitness, and self-care to fuel your bigger God-given purpose. I believe that it's possible to achieve your biggest life-changing goals without the frustration, obsession, or negative self-talk that so many women subject themselves to every day. All you need are the right tools, the right mindset, and the faith to turn your dreams into reality. I'm here to guide you along the way. The truth is that you are so much more than a body, and I'm on a mission to help you change the way you think and act at a core beliefs level so you can transform your physical, mental, and spiritual health from the inside out. Are you ready to become fed and fearless in your pursuit of a healthy, meaningful life? Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm your host as always, and today we're going to be talking about how to love your body while changing it. Now, this is something that I have seen crop up in the world of health online and social media. There's a lot of different opinions about this, and I wanted to offer an opportunity to you all to understand that this is not an either or conversation. So what I mean by that is that we really have two different polar opposite ways of thinking about this topic. The one side of the equation is people who are obsessed about changing their bodies, so focused on their body fat percentage, their weight, their appearance, how they feel on a day-to-day basis, and we really have turned health into an idol in a lot of ways on that side of the spectrum. Now, on the other side, there is a lot of people out there that suggest that any sort of desire to change your body is diet culture, and you should accept and love the body that you have and not try to change it. And I understand the sentiment of that perspective. However, I do think that that does not allow people the opportunity to work towards a better situation for themselves, whether that is a fitness goal or a health goal or even an appearance goal. I think a lot of people are a little touchy about the idea of working towards a change in appearance for good reason, because there is so much emphasis on appearance in our society. But like I said, I feel like making the assumption that if you look a certain way, if your body fat is at a certain level, if your skin looks a certain way, if you have acne or rashes, that kind of thing, that the assumption is that it's better to just learn to love yourself as opposed to work towards changing any of that. So, like I said, I want to offer an alternative to both of those ends of the extreme and suggest a few ways that you can actually love your body and accept it while also working towards changing it. So I have 9 different tips for you today, and I'm going to go through each one of them, just explaining my perspective on each of these tips and giving you some ways to think about it and ways to apply it to your own life so you can start loving your body while you're working towards a health or fitness goal. So my number one tip while working towards a body change goal is to be kind to yourself. I feel like negative self-talk is one of the most common ways that we women try to motivate ourselves to do certain things. We try to almost act like boot camp instructors when we're getting ourselves motivated to go do something that we want to do. Maybe it's a habit, maybe it's an activity that we assume is good for our health, and we really just want to force ourselves to do it using negative self-talk. Now, if you've been listening to me or following me on social media for a while, you know that I believe that negative self-talk is not a successful long-term motivator. And in fact, it's actually a way to, over time, really demotivate yourself and feel hopeless and helpless about your goals. I have an example that explains this pretty well, in my opinion, and I want to share it with you to just help you understand why negative self-talk is such a poor motivator. So imagine you're a kid in middle school and you're in math class and you're working on a math worksheet, and you're not the kind of person that math just comes naturally to. You really have to work on it and you're putting in a lot of effort. Maybe there's some struggle, there's some wrong answers, and you're doing your best to put the effort in to learn this math subject that you've been in class for. Now imagine you have a teacher that comes up to you while you're working on this math worksheet and they start telling you how bad you are at math. They start saying things like, wow, you're really bad at this. You are never going to be good at math. You might as well give up. Why are you even bothering trying? Look at how much better these other students are at math. You'll never be as good at math as they are. You might as well just stop trying, give up, and just face it. You're always going to be bad at math. Ooh, so that is one way a teacher could talk to you in your math class while you're working on a math worksheet. The other way, and let's imagine this is a different teacher in your math class, and that teacher comes up to you and they say, wow, you've been working so hard on this and putting so much effort into learning. And even though there's been some challenges along the way, you're working so hard and you're really starting to get the hang of this. And I know that you're going to be successful. Just keep working and, be really proud of yourself for how much effort and commitment you've put into learning math. It's really great. And I'm proud of you. So imagine that kind of experience when you were trying to learn math, having that teacher be super encouraging and really emphasizing the effort that you're putting in. You can see how in that situation, the way that the teacher's talking to you is going to make a huge difference on how motivated you are to keep working towards that math learning goal. You have that first teacher who's basically telling you that you're terrible and you might as well give up because you're never going to be successful. And then you have the other teacher telling you that the effort is actually what matters and you're doing a great job and you are staying so committed and just really encouraging you. How do you think you would react to both of these teachers? Do you think that first teacher would be motivating you, or would you just feel like garbage all the time and really just think, maybe I shouldn't try to learn math. Maybe I should just give up? Versus the compassionate teacher is somebody who they're not telling you that, oh, you're good at it, just stop trying. Obviously, they're just encouraging you to keep putting the effort in and to be proud of yourself for putting that effort in. And that's the kind of talk that I want you to learn how to talk over yourself when you're working towards goals. It's more kind, it's self-compassionate, and it's emphasizing the fact that you're showing up and doing the work and committing to yourself. That type of self-compassionate talk helps you stay on course with your goals, and it actually allows you to be more successful over the long run because you are staying committed, you're staying focused, you're not giving up when things get hard, and you're not telling yourself that there's no point of trying and you might as well quit. So being kind to yourself is not only going to make you feel better about your body and about who you are, but it's also going to actually help you be more effective in reaching your goals and changing your body. Now, the one thing I really want you guys to remember every time we talk about health on this show, I always want you to remember that your worth is not attached to your body, and it's not even attached to your health. So the pursuit of health should be 100% detached from your sense of self-worth, and whether or not you reach your health goals, whether or not you see a change in your body, that should not play any role in how you see yourself as a human and the kind of worth that you place upon yourself. From a faith-based perspective, our worth is not changeable. It comes from God, and it doesn't matter what we do because God sees us as his child, and it's not something that the pursuit of health is ever going to change. So we can separate those two, and by doing that, you can work towards health goals without it affecting how you see yourself as a person. Now, speaking of your self-worth not being attached to your body, my second tip is to not stress about the scale. Weighing yourself is super controversial, and the scale has lots of opinions from, it's just a tool that just gives you information, all the way to the people that say that you should smash it and throw it in the garbage because it's completely worthless and all it does is make you feel bad about yourself. So again, kind of two ends of the extreme here. I don't really think either of those are 100% accurate. I do think that the scale can be used objectively and can be used just for data. And I also think there's a lot of people out there that really get emotionally attached to the number on the scale, and it does really negatively affect how they feel about themselves. Now, the truth is that most people have daily fluctuations in their body weight. That's normal. It's healthy. I've seen my own weight go up and down by multiple pounds just based on where I am in my menstrual cycle, if I've had a bowel movement that day, how much water I've been drinking, if I had a lot of salt the night before. There's so many things that can affect your body weight on a day-to-day basis, and getting super attached to specific numbers is definitely not helpful when it comes to loving your body or even changing it. So that's why I think the scale can be a little tricky, because people tend to over-exaggerate the meaning of what that number on the scale says. Now, it's important to remember, if you're weighing yourself as part of your daily monitoring and looking at that number as data, you need to understand that your weight can actually go up as you're getting healthier. So weight increasing does not necessarily mean that your health is getting worse. I do think that in our society, we tend to attach increases in weight to a reduction in health, and that is not always true, especially if you are working towards a muscle building goal. So you can easily be losing fat and gaining muscle and seeing a positive change in your body composition. And the scale could either not change, or like I said, it could actually be going up. So looking at the scale and saying that the only positive change would be a downward trend is going to make it difficult for you to use the scale as a helpful tool. So if that's your mindset around the scale, then I would say that maybe you shouldn't be weighing yourself. Or if you have a specific number in mind, that if you're below that number, you're happy, and if above that number, you're sad or you get really frustrated, then again, that using that scale as a tool probably isn't the best idea for you. The truth is, the number on the scale only takes the meaning that you give it. So if the meaning of the scale is that it's just a metric of the effect of gravity on your body and you're just using it to monitor your progress towards a specific outcome, that's great. Then go ahead, keep weighing yourself, totally fine. But if you're the kind of person that puts a lot of meaning on that number and feels shame about it, feels like you've screwed up or you're failing, whatever kind of mindset comes up that's negative when you see that number on the scale, then you're giving too much meaning to that number. And ideally, taking a break from weighing yourself would be really important. And then also unpacking why you feel that way about the scale would be the other really important thing to do. So if you're working towards a fitness or a fat loss goal, I really encourage you to not get stressed out about the scale, to not put meaning into that number that doesn't actually exist. It's not reality. It's just a belief that you have. And again, if you're really struggling with using the scale as a tool that does not have an emotional attachment, then I strongly encourage you to put the scale away, hide it somewhere, get a friend to take it from you for a while, or throw it out if you really don't think that weighing yourself is ever going to be something that's beneficial. Because at the end of the day, that number really doesn't mean anything, and it only takes on the meaning that you give it. Okay, so tip number 3 is to purge your social media. This is something that I personally do pretty often. If I see an account that's coming up that is making me feel negatively about myself or my situation or my appearance, anything like that, I prefer not to be following that person. Now, I do think it's important that if you're being triggered by social media accounts, to not just go on this tear of eliminating social media from your life and just trying to hide away from it. Because if you're being triggered by even just normal posts that people are putting up, I really want you to ask yourself why that is, because that can be from a root of envy or jealousy or just feeling poorly about yourself and comparing yourself to others. So if you're finding yourself getting triggered by lots of different social media accounts, then like I said, I definitely want you to explore that and do some journaling on that and think about why is it that these pictures or these words are creating this negative emotion in me? However, there's also certain accounts that definitely take a little bit more of a shaming perspective, and they make themselves look like the way that they live is the best way to live. And they have language or images that start to make us question ourselves, our success, just different things about ourselves that make us feel poorly about our situation. And if that's the kind of account that you're following, then I definitely encourage you to unfollow it, to delete it from your world, and just to get that out of sight so it can get out of mind. I really suggest only following social media accounts that make you feel inspired and good about your efforts to improve yourself. Like I said, sometimes you can follow an account that is totally positive, really encouraging, and because you have some undealt with emotions about yourself and your life, you could still be triggered by it. That's the kind of account that I really recommend you doing some of that deeper work to figure out why it's triggering you. But in my opinion, the best social media accounts are not necessarily the ones that encourage you to stay where you are. I follow a lot of accounts that push me to reevaluate the things that I'm doing, or to be more consistent with my goals, or to just look at my habits and maybe make some changes there. So I don't think that the only social media that you should follow is the ones that really give you permission to just stay exactly as you are, because I do want to help you be more successful in any area of your life and to see progress and improvement in the areas that matter to you. And if you're only ever following accounts that validate where you are now and never really push you to change or challenge you, then you can get stuck in a place that you don't really want to be. So it's okay if an account is making you feel a little bit, I don't want to say triggered, because I don't even know if that's the right word, but if it's an account that makes you feel like you need to reevaluate your life a little bit, or you need to reevaluate your choices, that's actually a really good thing. So when you're doing this social media purge, like I said, don't think that the only accounts that you can follow need to be ones that validate you as exactly as you are and never challenge you to do anything differently. But if it's an account that really makes you feel crappy about yourself and makes you feel bad about your appearance or your family or your home or anything like that, I don't think it's worth following them if it's just constantly making you feel negatively about yourself. So only you can decide what kind of social media accounts those are, but I want you to really be discerning about the difference between feeling inspired to be your best self from a social media account versus feeling shame about who you are and how your life looks and making you feel like you're somehow less than the person that you're following. I hope that makes sense, because like I said, I don't want you to think that you should only ever be validated by these accounts, and that anything that could ever push you beyond your comfort zone is unacceptable to be following. But it's a fine line, and everybody's different, and you need to be aware of the things that make you feel negatively about yourself versus the things that inspire you to step up your game in a certain area of your life. Okay, tip number 4 is, this is a funny one, is to embrace the suck. Now, this might sound a little strange, and I want to explain. When we're working towards a change, whether that's a health or a body change or any change in our life, you need to remember that change is hard for everyone. I'm going to repeat that because I really want that to sink in. Change is hard for everyone. No matter what your goals are, there will be points along your journey that really suck. There's going to be setbacks, plateaus, and frustrations along the way. Those are guaranteed to occur. There's nobody out there who works towards a goal that just is making constant linear improvement and going straight to that goal and never hitting any setbacks along the way. Honestly, the most successful people that you know experience major failures. That's one of the reasons why social media can be so helpful in a lot of ways if you follow the right people, because people who look successful on the outside but then share the challenges that they're going through give you that opportunity to see that failure is not something that is only happening to you, and to be able to reach your health goal means that you have to be willing to embrace these failures. And that's why I say to embrace the suck, because the people who end up reaching their goals are the ones who are willing to work through challenges and stay focused on their habits and stay focused on the things that they want to achieve. And they don't let setbacks and frustrations stop them. So embracing the suck means that you understand that change is hard and that there's going to be times where you mess up, you make a decision that's not aligned with your goals, you're working really hard and you're not seeing progress. There's so many different ways that we can experience frustration as we work towards a goal. And by understanding that this is normal and part of the process, and that experiencing these frustrations is actually a sign that you are moving towards the end goal, this is a really important way to help you love your body and love yourself while you're working on a health goal or a body change. Now, I want to share an important caveat to this recommendation to embrace the suck. This does not mean torturing yourself with extreme diet and exercise routines. When I say embrace the suck, I don't mean that you should be eating a diet that makes you miserable or is leaving you starving all the time. And I don't mean that you should be doing an exercise routine that leaves you exhausted and injured and feeling just totally depleted. Embracing the suck means understanding that change is hard and using that to really stay focused and committed to your habits. It does not mean creating new habits that actually are really terrible and you hate them and you feel awful while you're doing them and they're not actually conducive to your quality of life. So I wanted to share that caveat because I think sometimes there's this no pain, no gain mentality in the health world. And I don't actually think that that's true. I think that the habits that actually improve our health the best and are the most sustainable are the ones that are enjoyable and create some level of satisfaction when you're doing them. And if your habits are making you miserable, then that's actually not a very effective way to work towards an outcome. We actually had an episode on this, episode 15, a couple episodes ago, about how to change your habits. And we talk about this concept of making your new habit satisfying and enjoyable as possible. So understanding that this embrace the suck mentality comes down to embracing the challenges and frustrations and setbacks that come along the way when you're working towards a goal, and also doing your best to create habits and action steps that are not making you miserable and actually give you a sense of satisfaction as you're doing them. Okay, tip number 5 is to appreciate what your body can do now. I truly believe that if you're breathing and have a heartbeat, that your body is a miracle. So no matter what the state of your health is, if you're alive, that's a miracle and that's something to be grateful for. I want you to work on cultivating gratitude for what your body does for you right now. Even if you're in a state of discomfort or you feel like your body's not as healthy as it could be, or you're feeling a little frustrated about some of the symptoms that you're having, your body is still working for you. And something that I think is really important as part of this process is to thank your body for always being there for you. Even though we experience health challenges and setbacks, the truth is that our body is actually always on our side. It's always wanting us to be healthy. It's always working towards health. Now, it might be working against some circumstances that are making it hard to be healthy, but ultimately your body is always wanting to be at its healthiest. It's always trying to protect you. It's always on your side. A really great episode to listen to that can help you understand this a little bit better is the conversation I had with Coach Alyssa Chang about befriending your body. If you haven't listened to that one yet, I definitely recommend going back to it and checking it out because we talk all about how to befriend your body and practice a healthy relationship with your body while you're working on your health. So understanding that your body is on your side and appreciating what it's able to do now, even while you're working towards health and fitness goals, is a really important way to love your body while you're changing it. And a really great way to do this is to focus on building new capabilities and skills through your diet, through your movement and exercise choices. So when I'm training, I do strength and conditioning workouts. I see a trainer once a week, and then I do my own workouts 1 or 2 times a week at a private gym near my house. And I am always emphasizing building skills and seeing progress in the abilities that my body has when it comes to strength and moving well and moving without pain, moving gracefully, which I'm definitely not a graceful person, but just seeing my abilities to move well change across months and years of putting that effort in is something that really gives me a lot of joy and excitement and keeps me motivated when it comes to doing those workouts. So focusing on building new skills can actually take the emphasis off of reaching a specific goal and really put the emphasis on the progress that you're making on a day-to-day basis. And you can do this with your diet as well. Maybe it's the fact that you're building cooking skills or you're able to put together healthy meals that you really enjoy. So if you're working on that as a process, then you can really emphasize the skills that you're building as opposed to the specific outcomes that you have. So just being able to appreciate what your body can do now and working on building those skills that you can then further appreciate and be excited about is a really great way to love your body while you're changing it. Tip number 6 is to keep living your life. What I mean by this is that you can't let your health goals be your number one priority while you're working towards them. Working towards a health or fitness goal does not mean that your life has to revolve around your diet and exercise plan. And in fact, in order to be successful over the long run, I actually encourage you to not make your diet and exercise plan the most important thing in your life. I encourage you to make time for your hobbies, friends, family, and enjoyment in general, and making sure that your values are being accounted for when you're putting together a diet and exercise plan to help you move towards a specific health goal. Now, one of the things that I typically recommend if you're working towards a goal and there's some changes that you need to make to your diet or your fitness or your lifestyle in order to reach that goal, we don't want you to be miserable. So I want you to find ways to celebrate life that are not food and alcohol related. If you can really detach your enjoyment of life from the things that you're trying to change, like if you're trying to make a diet change and the only way that you know how to experience pleasure and joy on a daily basis is by eating delicious foods, then I would encourage you to think about how can you branch out the ways that you enjoy life. And this is really where those things like hobbies and time with friends and family and trying new things, this is where this comes into play, because at the end of the day, if all we're ever using for enjoyment is food, then that's probably not going to leave you in the healthiest state from a physical perspective or a mental and emotional and spiritual perspective either. So learning how to diversify the sources of joy in your life and really keep living your life in a way that is pleasurable and meaningful to you, that's going to help you actually continue working towards your health and fitness goal while also loving yourself and loving your body. And the important thing to remember here is that health is not your purpose. From a spiritual perspective, I really look at health as a way to support your bigger God-given purpose. Obviously, being healthy can make a big impact on your ability to live the life that you desire and the life that you feel like God is calling you towards. But at the end of the day, being healthy is not your purpose. And the truth is, tomorrow isn't promised. So be sure that you're enjoying today to the fullest and really looking for opportunities to experience the joy that God has for you in every moment of every day. I know that sounds really cliche and it can be a little bit hard, especially if you're feeling frustrated about the progress of the goals that you're working towards. But like I said, the truth is, we don't know if we have tomorrow. And the best thing that we can do is be as consistent as possible with our habits while also looking for opportunities to enjoy and celebrate life in every single capacity that we have. So like I said, hobbies, friends and family, learning new things, whatever is valuable to you, making sure that you're building that into your life and you're not getting sucked into the obsession over diet and fitness and only having that as a source of pleasure or satisfaction in your day-to-day life. Okay, so tip number 7 is be content today. This is something that I see with a lot of the clients I work with who are working towards specific health goals, that they're almost putting their life on pause while they're working towards this goal. It does relate to the tip that we just talked about where I suggested to keep living your life while working on your health goals. But this also is a little bit of a different mindset as well, because contentment is actually a practice. Getting healthy is not a magic bullet to make you happy with your life, whether that's losing body fat or improving your digestion or getting your hormones balanced. None of that is specifically going to make you happy. Yes, there can be some pleasure that comes from feeling better or liking the way that you look more, but ultimately, contentment and happiness is a choice. You get to choose if you're going to be content with your life on a day-to-day basis, or if you're going to be constantly dissatisfied and always looking for the next best thing to make you happy. Now, contentment does not mean giving up on your goals. I think that's a big misconception, and a lot of people who are more ambitious and driven and like to achieve goals, I can raise my hand on this one. A lot of times we get nervous about the practice of contentment because we worry that contentment means that we aren't going to be working towards any sort of goals and we're just going to give up on any sort of ambition that we have. That is not the truth. And I really feel like that's a big barrier for a lot of people to experience contentment because they're telling themselves this lie that they can't be content and ambitious at the same time. Contentment does not mean giving up on your goals. It means being at peace with where you are today. So looking at your life as it is right now and saying, it's okay that things are the way that they are. I'm okay. I can practice contentment and gratitude. And I can also look for ways to work on improving the areas of my life that I desire to improve. So this applies to health goals as much as it applies to other goals in your life. Like I said, you can have health challenges and still practice contentment and happiness on a day-to-day basis. And the best way to do this is to really get into a habit of practicing gratitude. I want you to ask yourself, how can you practice gratitude for the many blessings of your life, even while you work towards a health goal? Because whether or not you hit your health goal, you can find gratitude and happiness in different areas of your life, even if the things around you or the way that your body is functioning is not necessarily your preference. And honestly, learning how to be content, even in the face of challenge, is a really important skill to build, especially as a Christian, because we're really called to be joyful even in challenge and struggle. And if God is the source of our joy, then we should not be constantly feeling joyless because we're not necessarily reaching the goal that we have. And the sad part about being a goal-oriented, ambitious person, like I said, totally me. So this is coming from a place of compassion. So often, even if we hit a goal, we end up just creating a new goal that is the next step or the next thing on our journey. And we're not even celebrating the fact that we've reached that goal in the first place. I know I'm super prone to this. I'll achieve one thing and then immediately be like, all right, what's next? So if we can learn how to practice contentment with not only how we are today, but when we do reach those goals that we've set for ourselves, really celebrating that and enjoying it and not just immediately moving on to the next goal is really going to help us be content with our lives and love our bodies while we're working towards those health and fitness goals that we have for ourselves. All right, so tip number 8 is to ditch the guilt. This is something that I've seen in a variety of my clients as well as friends that have talked to me about how they feel about working towards a health goal. I feel like this is especially common with women who are moms because they feel very selfish for wanting to work towards a health goal, and it creates a lot of guilt inside them because they feel like they don't deserve to work towards the goal, or that by working towards that goal, that somehow they're creating a burden on somebody else's life. And there may be people in your life also that give you a hard time when you're working towards a health goal because there's so many different reasons why people can be down on you when you're working towards a goal, but there can be things like jealousy or, it brings up thoughts about their own life that they're not happy about, and they can start to put you down and make you feel guilty for wanting to work towards a body and health goal. And this is especially true if it's a fat loss goal. I do think that there's a lot of shame out there in the world in general when it comes to pursuing fat loss as an outcome. We actually have a couple of really great interviews coming up about this with people who talk about fat loss in a way that is not body shaming and is really emotionally neutral, which I love. So stay tuned. We'll be talking about that more in future episodes. But there's this feeling in the world of health and fitness now, especially with the health at every size movement and the body positivity movement, that the desire to lose body fat and to change the way that your body looks is something that you should not do. And that can create a lot of guilt and shame in the people that desire to work towards that outcome. So I don't want you to feel guilty about the goals that you have. Whatever your goal is when it comes to your health and your body, it's nobody else's business to tell you what your goal should be. And I want you to give yourself permission to pursue the goals that are meaningful to you. Of course, I don't want you to be pursuing it in a way that is harmful to you. And this recommendation does not apply to any self-harming behaviors like disordered eating or excessive exercise. So if you have somebody close to you expressing concern about your behavior because they're worried about your health, that's a completely different circumstance here. So I want to make sure that I'm not giving people permission to ignore the people around them that are concerned about their well-being. This is more about having permission to pursue personal goals when it comes to your health and your body that are meaningful to you and are important to you and do not require the validation of other people and do not require you to feel guilty for making those choices that are pursuing a better situation for you. Because at the end of the day, you feeling your best and feeling confident in your body and feeling energetic and having good digestion and having balanced hormones, even though that might feel selfish to work towards improving your own health and well-being, the truth is that when you're feeling your best and you have energy and your body is not creating challenges for you on a day-to-day basis, you can actually live a much more full life of service to others and show up in relationships in a more authentic and engaging way. So if you're worried about working towards a goal as being harmful to other people, thinking about how you actually can work towards a goal that can make your relationships better and maybe make you a better mom because you can run around with your kids or you have energy to play with them, or you just have the energy to have emotional balance so that when they're frustrating you, you don't snap at them. There's a lot of different ways that your health can actually positively impact other people. And so thinking about the ways that your health goals actually help you show up as your best self and serve others well is a great way to also release any sort of guilt around working towards a health or body change goal. All right, so I have one more tip. Tip number 9 is to embrace who you are becoming. This is one of my favorite tips because I think this applies in any goal in our life, from health goals to financial goals to relationship goals. The process of working towards a goal is the process of becoming a better version of yourself, whether or not you reach the goal, which is the really cool thing about goal setting. And I think a part of goal setting that we tend to forget because we tend to only focus on whether or not we actually achieve the goal. But the fact is that the practice of working towards a goal is really a great thing to engage in. You're going to learn discipline, you learn commitment, self-control, and persistence. And all of those are habits that will benefit you in all areas of your life, whether it's actually the physical health of your body or the way that you actually move through life when it comes to things like your family, your career, and your purpose in general. The truth is, whether or not you reach your health goals, you will be growing as a person through the process. And that's something really important to celebrate and give yourself credit for. I want you to emphasize the effort that you're putting in and not so much the result. Yes, it's great to celebrate milestones and to celebrate success, but I really want you to be celebrating the effort that you're putting in as well. Because like we talked about a few minutes ago, the people who end up reaching their goals are the ones that put in that consistent effort, even in the face of challenge, setbacks, and plateaus. So the fact that you're continuing to put in effort, even if you're not seeing progress, even if you're experiencing challenges, that effort is actually something to be really proud of yourself around, whether or not you end up hitting the specific goal that you set for yourself. A lot of this comes down to shifting your identity through the process of working towards your goals. And we talk about this in episode 11, and it's a great episode. I would definitely recommend going back to that if you're working towards any goals in 2020, because we talk about how to reach your health goals by changing your identity. And that identity change process is what I'm talking about here when I'm saying that working towards that goal actually allows you to become the best version of yourself. So embracing who you're becoming through the process of working towards your goals is a really great way to not only stay focused on pursuing the goal and be consistent and continue to put that effort in so that you reach it, but it also allows you to love yourself more and love your body more through the process as you're working towards the health and fitness goals that you have for yourself. All right, so that is my 9 tips. I'm going to just recap them really quickly so you can start to think about which of these tips you might want to apply in your life over the coming weeks. Number 1 is to be kind to yourself and not use negative self-talk to try to motivate yourself. Number 2 is to not stress about the scale. Either ditch the scale altogether or reframe your beliefs around what the number on the scale means. Number 3 is to purge your social media. So if a social media account is creating a lot of shame in your life or making you feel bad about yourself, either unfollow that account or do some digging into why you're feeling shame around what you're seeing on that person's social media account. Tip number 4 is to embrace the suck. Remember that change is hard for everyone, and even the most successful people you know experience major failure along the way to success. Number 5 is to appreciate what your body can do now. Cultivate gratitude for how your body shows up for you and become a friend to your body while you focus on how you're building new skills and capabilities through your work towards that goal. Number 6 is to keep living your life. I don't want you to make your life revolve around your diet and exercise plan. It's so important to make time for hobbies, friends, family, and enjoyment in general. Tip number 7 is to be content today. Remember that contentment is a choice, and that contentment does not mean giving up on your goals. It simply means being at peace with where you are today and having gratitude for everything that you're blessed with in your life today. Tip number 8 is to ditch the guilt. Remember that whatever your goal is, it's nobody else's business to tell you what your goal should be, and you can give yourself permission to pursue the goals that are meaningful to you. And tip number 9 is to embrace who you are becoming. Remember that simply by working towards a goal, you're becoming the best version of yourself. And whether or not you reach that health goal that you have, you'll be growing as a person through the process, and you can give yourself credit for the effort, not just the result. All right, so I hope that gives you a couple of ideas about how you can love yourself and love your body while you're working towards changing it. Now, I would love to hear from you. I want to know which of these 9 tips is the most practical for you to start implementing. Which one are you the most excited about? If you have implemented any of these tips, which one has been the most effective for you or has changed your life the most? I would love to hear from you. So feel free to DM me on Instagram or write a comment below the episode page on my website, because I want to hear, how is this information impacting you and the way that you work towards your own health goals? Have you made any changes in the last couple of weeks about the way that you think about yourself or the way that you perceive the effort that you're putting into working towards your goals, or the amount of contentment that you experience on a day-to-day basis while you're working towards these goals? Like I said, I'd love to connect with you. So if you have Instagram, you can connect with me at Laura Schoenfeld RD. If you don't have Instagram, then feel free to come over to my website, lauraschoenfeldrd.com, and write your comment below the episode notes for this episode number 18. Meanwhile, if you're enjoying the content, I would love to have you subscribe to the podcast. So if you have iTunes on your phone or your iPod, you can head over to the notes for this episode and check it out on the iTunes page. Or if you go to iTunes and search the Fed and Fearless podcast, you can subscribe, and that way you never miss an episode. We have some amazing episodes coming up and some great interviews with some really inspiring women. So I don't want you to miss a thing. So head over to iTunes and subscribe. And if you want to continue the conversation about the podcast, I invite you to join the Fed and Fearless Society on Facebook. It's a private group for women only, and we're in there talking about the episodes, and I'm in there answering questions about health and giving you feedback and tips and sharing my knowledge and expertise and sharing all the content that's coming out on the podcast, on the blog on a regular basis. So I'd love to have you come hang out in the Fed and Fearless Society on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, like I said, just there's lots of different ways to contact me, so please feel free to get in touch with me. Let me know how this information is impacting your life, and let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover on the podcast, because I'm always looking for inspiration. I want to make this podcast super valuable for you. So share with me what you're looking for, what you need help around, and I will do my best to support you through the blog and the podcast and all the different ways that I share content online. All right, well, it's been awesome hanging out with you today. I will look forward to seeing you here next week on the Fed and Fearless podcast. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, Laura Schoenfeld here again. I'm so excited to announce that I now have openings for new private clients to begin working together in 2020. I have worked with hundreds of clients over more than 6 years on a variety of health conditions. My areas of expertise include hormone health and fertility, adrenal dysfunction, gut health, and immune dysregulation. I'm also well-versed in sports nutrition and enjoy helping recreational and semi-professional athletes maximize their physical performance. My functional medicine training and client experience, combined with my compassion and realistic view of health, makes me a well-prepared partner for you in your journey towards better physical, mental, and spiritual health. If you're looking to build a relationship with a qualified health consultant who takes the time to get to know you as a unique person, then you'll love working with me as your own personal functional nutritionist. The first step to becoming a client of mine is to book a functional nutrition strategy session. On this 30-minute strategy call, I will provide a review of your current diet and lifestyle approach, clarity on what's holding you back from making progress towards your goals, and I'll help you come up with a personalized game plan for optimizing your health. If at the end of this call we decide it would be a good fit to work together on this plan, we'll have the opportunity to discuss my consultation packages and services, and even to get started working together for a longer-term partnership so that way you can experience lasting results. To book your session, go to lauraschoenfeldrd.com and click the menu button that says Work With Me. You can learn more about how I work with clients and book your strategy session from there. I look forward to meeting with you soon.